the sit-ins, we believed. On the march, while we're waiting, somebody was praying, somebody was singing, somebody was moaning, somebody was crying. So we cannot give up. We cannot be dismayed, because before we belonged to Mount Carmel, before we belonged to the AME Church, can I remind somebody, we belong to the King of all kings and the Lord of all lords. We belong to the God that broke our shackles, broke our chains, the God that took us out of the cotton field, the God, the hands that once picked cotton can now pick presidents. And this God, he will renew our strength, and he will speak to our children and remind our children they are the head, not the tail. They are above, not beneath. They are lenders and not a borrower. The God of our weary years, the God of our silent tears, he has not forgotten about us. He is the same God yesterday, today, tomorrow, and I know Jesus, he will fix it after a while. He'll fix it. He will push the pusher off the corner. I said he'll fix it. They will build the jail, and they won't have room. They won't have to be able to convict anyone to sit in the jail. God has not forgotten about you, and he has not forgotten about, he hasn't forgotten about me either. So the two words that I have to share with you today: bounce back. I pastored in Anderson for 10 years, and Brother Josh and Sister Miranda would come into my office every Sunday. They were children. And I went to Office Max in Anderson, and I found a big ball. It was a big ball, just rubber bands. Big old ball of rubber bands. And they'd play with the rubber bands, and sometimes they'd play with it so much that one of the rubber bands would separate from the ball. And then they would take the rubber band home with them, and I'd see them just stretching the rubber band. That little piece of rubber, that small rubber band, had a property that we call elasticity. Right. It was able to stretch.
Come on, preacher.
And when Paul this morning talks about the church at Corinth, Paul knew the troubles that they had been facing. And he says, on every side, we have been pressed, but we haven't been crushed. If there's one thing I've learned from black folk these 41 years of life, I have learned that when it gets hard, when it gets lean, oh, we know how to make stuff stretch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got an aunt in Queens, New York, tells a story about how she decided to make some oxtails one day. She said she bought 2 packs and she had them on the stove, but that just happened to be the day that everybody decided to come by her house. And all she had in the pot were just a few oxtails. She tells the story that before that day was done, that elasticity of the oxtails allowed her to feed 15 people. I'm not complaining about the state of black America, because I'm too busy being impressed with how we make stuff stretch. Oh, we've been rich all our lives, so let me tell you how we used to do it in Orangeburg. I remember where we used to buy clothes once per gender. We buy them once for a boy and once for a girl. So if there were 3 boys, the 3 boys in that house would all wear the same pair of jeans. And those jeans would be patched up, stitched up, hemmed up, taken up, let up, cuffed up. Then they were let down and let out. Oh, we know how to stretch. I can't tell you how many times growing up somebody would come to church with a box full of toys that their children had used, and they had names for their toys. We'd bring them home and we'd make those toys our toys. And we would stretch the toys generation to generation. We stretched shoes until the soles were out of shoes. I've seen us stretch. We've stretched extension cords from one window in one apartment to another window in another apartment. We can make it stretch. We know how to stretch. We are experts at the stretch. But one thing I know about my people, we never pop. We never give up. We never get in. And we might have had a few lonely moments, but look at us. We're still standing. We're still strong. We held our heads high, walked into God's house. I was glad when they said to me, let us go.
Preach. Preach. Let's go. Let's go. Preach. Preach.
Paul continues,
Preach.
we have been struck,
Thank you, Lord.
but we are not destroyed. Yeah, I loved having the kids of the church come into my office. They had to come to my office. I wanted them to know I loved them. I wanted them to know that I cared about their grades and I cared about what was going on in school. They take that same little ball of rubber bands, and they weren't bothering me. They throw the ball off the wall. Then they throw the ball down. You know, if that ball was made out of glass, they'd have been able to throw that ball one time.
Right.
If that ball was made out of wood, as hard as wood is, it would have dents and cracks in it, but the ball was not made out of glass, and neither are you.